my calls with clients, in my sacred business alignment calls, talking to new people, I keep hearing the same thing over and over again that people are just exhausted being told that they have to sell 15K packages or post constantly on Instagram just to be legitimate. And in this week's Planetary Pulse, I am going to talk about how that building pressure is the result of being inside a collapsing model. And it is not the only way forward. So, we are going to move through this week's transits together, day by day, and I'll show you exactly how the old paradigm is cracking and what is opening in its place. So, this is a really climactic week because some of the major astrological transits that have been building since the beginning of 2026, even before that, are now coming into exact alignment. And there's this pattern that I keep hearing that I don't think is a coincidence. There's this feeling like what we've been told, what we've been sold on as like the only way to create a business, people are pushing back on that, especially people in my world. Potentially you're here watching this video, listening to this podcast. You are probably someone who has a sense that the way we've all been taught to build an online business just isn't in alignment for you. And this is, again, we are in this process of old systems collapsing and something more real is trying to come through. And all of you conscious entrepreneurs listening to this right now, you have an opportunity to be a part of birthing a new world. And so it's a really scary time. And there's also so much potential here. So we are going to now move through the transits day by day and talk about what it means to be a part of, be in that in between place of something old falling away and something new coming through. So, July 12th, we have our Mercury Cazimi. So, Mercury is currently retrograde in Cancer, and Sunday, July 12th, it reaches the heart of the sun. And so, if you've been feeling fuzzy, if you've been feeling nostalgic, perhaps thinking about the way things used to be, this is a Mercury retrograde in Cancer experience. Perhaps you've been thinking about your inner child or how things were when you were growing up, or your family of origin, or your soul chosen family, and feeling maybe some confusion, some uncertainty. This is a moment where clear insights can come through. All of that kind of sifting through the past, something is being revealed to you that is of a spiritual nature. And so, the theme I'm tuning into, not only for this week, but this period of our experience as humans is that, this desire to be safe and be comfortable, that is a very, human need, right? And the way that we have been sold on that only being available through a 9 to 5 job or through a nuclear family, I think there's that system is cracking. And so now it's time for us to really tune into what will really allow me to feel safe emotionally, with in connection with soul family. And I think there's a lot of potential for the kind of businesses that this audience is in the process of creating and envisioning, to create a real sense of connection, a real sense of safety that, isn't totally controlled by forces outside of you, but rather you have some agency to connect to the people and places that support you and your soul family. So for you spiritual entrepreneurs, on July 12th, really connect to the emotional truth of where you're feeling aligned right now and use it to name what you actually want. What is your vision? Because this Mercury Cazimi is going to be at the same degree point as the new moon happening in just a couple of days. So, whatever downloads you get today, I think is going to be a part of informing the intentions that you set at the new moon in Cancer. Okay, so July 13th, Venus in Virgo squares Uranus in Gemini as the moon makes its move into Cancer. And so we are having a shakeup around what we value. There might be some sudden shifts around money, relationships, worth. And again, Venus in Virgo, let's be discerning and really sift through all of the information that's coming through right now around, not only how to build a business, but what is it that you actually value and really getting clear on that yourself. So kind of looking at what you've been told again with that Mercury retrograde in Cancer, maybe you're looking back at the belief systems that were instilled into you as a child. And now taking a moment to sift through that and see where you're ready to disrupt that so that you can come in greater alignment with what it is that is truly valuable to you. And then, you can do the same kind of process with your offers, really thinking about what is valuable about what it is that I'm bringing to the world. And it might be different again than like what you've been told is a profitable niche or something that people will buy, because I think there's so much shifting right now and so much need to stay adaptable and really be creative that your weird idea might actually be really valuable in this new world that's being birthed that we're right in the center of. All right. So just feeling into the fact that the ground is moving beneath our feet and coming to that with the intention of like, this is a renovation, this is a revolution. And what are your values that you want to bring forward through this? Okay, so July 14th, we have that new moon in Cancer. And the major aspect that is part of this new moon is that Mercury retrograde is here sitting with the new moon. So we are both, with the new moon phase, making intentions for what we want to bring forward through the lunation, through the larger cycles, but we're also needing to look back. And again, especially with that Venus square Uranus that happened the day before, it's like, what does family mean to you? What does home mean to you? And I'm really feeling into all of you who are, currently in a corporate job, maybe working in some kind of career that you entered into because you wanted that stability and that safety, maybe for your family, or maybe because your family expected that of you. And now, as things are shifting in the economy and in the way that the world is going, now is an opportunity for you to really look back at where that kind of decision point to move into this career came from. And this might be a pivotal point for you where you can start to plant seeds of what will create that kind of inner stability as the world is shifting. And, Cancer is a cardinal sign. So that means it initiates. So that gives a double energy towards really initiating something new. So feeling into how do I create a business, an ecosystem that allows me, when I'm feeling into safety in this kind of direction we're taking in the world, it is really feeling to me like, again, this concept of soul family, and that can exist within the context of you creating a healing business in the world. So creating spaces for healing and bringing community around that. And then it's like those nurturing those connections and those relationships starts to really become valuable and really become a source of resource, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's a really potent resource. When coming back to that Venus square Uranus, it's like thinking about how currencies are changing and considering wealth in a new way, like the wealth of the health of ourselves, the health of our families, the health of our communities, as well as the ways that we all support one another. So, okay, big headline, climactic transit here, July 15th. Uranus is sextile to Neptune. So, Uranus in Gemini, Neptune in Aries, 4 degrees, right as the moon is moving into Leo. And, Uranus has, officially entered Gemini, and we can see all of this technological innovation, and it's all happening very fast. There's new ways of collecting information, of understanding that information, of connecting with one another. And we are all feeling the acceleration of AI, of new platforms, of entirely new ways of connecting that didn't exist a few years ago or even last year. And so, a sextile to Neptune in Aries, I'm feeling into this as an opportunity for each of us to step into a kind of leadership role in our businesses, seeding this new way of holding one another and how we can be leaders in a circle rather than that kind of like figurehead leader. That the North Node will be entering Leo soon. And I feel the No Kings movement is very on time with that transit, but we'll talk more about that as we go. So what I am tuning into for this big transit that is, all year, all 2026 and beyond, is that to really bring our relationship to these new technologies as a way to connect as humans, to bring in this new way of being a leader, this new like Aries dream of, Aries, the mantra is I am. And what is it that makes us human? And how are the technologies that are very much a part of our world now something that can support our real human connection? And I also want to speak to, with everything happening so fast and with the Mercury retrograde, like if you are ever someone who has looked back and be like, oh, I wish I would have started my online business 5 years ago. I wish I would have, did XYZ, like would have started my YouTube channel 10 years ago. This is another moment where we are at the beginning of something new coming through. And so really seizing this moment, the moon is here in Leo now. This is an opportunity for you to really step into your heartfelt courage to be authentic, to be playful with the opportunities that are here. And so then July 17th, another dun dun dun, big transit of the year, Uranus is trine Pluto in Aquarius. So again, big headliner. And the trine between those two is creating support and opportunities between the ways that we're connecting, the ways that we're gathering information, and all of the innovation that's happening there, the potential for our collective power when we come together in networks, when we bring our vision, our out of the box vision to the table. And, trines open doors, they create ease and flow, but we still need to walk through them. And so I'm really calling all of you healers, all of you visionaries to be one of the ones who is seizing this moment. And again, don't feel like this is the 1 week you can do it. This is all year, but this is, a real inflection point this year. So tuning in to the opportunities you have to step into some of these new platforms, to model a new way of being a leader, because you know that the powers that be are tapping into this and they are, seizing these opportunities. And so what if all of us did the same? We have the same kind of access to these planetary shifts as anyone else. And when we all do it together, that's when we have some real collective power. So notice where perhaps you've been resisting support. This Pluto in Aquarius is giving us an opportunity to come together as wider networks so that we can support each other. So, that Neptune and Aries on the shadow side can glamorize this old mythos of like I can do it all on my own. But I think there is some call here to release control over everything so that you can get some support. And we are moving from a paradigm of hyper competitiveness to actually creating businesses that support one another. And I really believe that is the path of the future and the path for abundance and for being the ones to bring in the new world. So, and the new world is coming, and I want us healers, us coaches, us people who really care about one another to have a voice in all of this. Okay, so same day, the moon is moving into Virgo. And so this can help ground us into that practical, doable next step vibe because if you're tuning into these larger transits, it can feel overwhelming. It is big collective energy. So coming back to that Virgo sense of, okay, what are the next steps I can actually take to really ground it and bring it back to what's embodied. Okay, so big week, like I said, it's not asking you to have it all figured out. It's just asking you to notice where the old model has already stopped working for you and maybe to start letting that go. And that is going to release a lot of energy for what's to come. So a journaling prompt for you. Ask yourself, where have I been performing a version of safety that isn't actually stable? And what would real safety look like on my own terms? And then another prompt, if you want to keep going, is where am I resisting support or collaboration? Because I think I have to do this alone. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. If any of this landed for you, this is the kind of collaborative space I am facilitating inside the Boss Witch Collective right now. It's a free community on School. So if you are someone who is part of birthing a new vision for our future through your sacred business, then come on in and join the conversation. We're going to be doing new moon rituals. We're going to do a new moon ritual in Cancer this week. So I would love to see you there. And let me know in the comments where all of this big energy is landing for you. And yeah, make sure to like and subscribe, and we will see you next week. All right, take good care.